Hi everyone and welcome to today's quick fix. Today I'm going to show you how to draw and then paint a Christmas tree or a pine tree with snow on it. What I'm just doing at the moment is I am just drawing in the vague branches of a pine tree. You can see at the top I started with a central line, and then the first few branches are quite sort of angled upwards, and then they start to sag a bit as the tree gets bigger towards the bottom. And all I'm doing is basically putting out platforms for my snow to sit on. So I'm going to sort of begin, I think that's quite a good shape. Sort of round it off there. So it's a bit of a challenge to paint snow on a pine tree because of course snow is white, the page is white, so we need to be painting in the area around the snow, so what we see of the branches poking out from underneath. But of course snow also has colour in it. It's reflecting back the light, so we often see whatever colour the sky is reflected in the snow. There's usually some lovely sort of bluey, shadowy tones. So that's also going to help us, because the key aim with this kind of project is to learn how to paint it and not rely on masking fluid to mask out the areas where we're going to see. So I'm going to begin actually at the bottom points. I nearly always start at the top with my trees, but I'm going to sort of angle my focus around here, and I'm going to begin by sort of starting the top edge of the branch I'm painting is sort of where the snow is sat on top of a branch, and snow kind of sags in heavy chunks, or it will sort of pick up every little branch it feels. So this is one of those sort of, you have to just bear with me and you'll see it all suddenly come together. So I'm just looking at that line of the bottom edge of the snow. I'm not thinking about the top edge of it, I'm just thinking about the bottom. So using a size 0 brush, which is small enough to give lots of control, but large enough to squish down and create broad lines. And I'm just going to begin by painting in these branches, and then go from focusing downwards off each branch, getting a few extra little pine branches. Using some of that blue as well. Okay. And then as we go further up, we take a branch and we're just sort of painting in sections, and it feels very abstract and strange at this point, but trust me, the more we do, the more suddenly we will start to see a tree appear in front of our eyes. So I'm just going to work my way up along each branch, thinking about how the snow sits on each branch. By the time you've got to the top, it's looking sort of like a Christmas tree a little bit, but the basic shape is kind of there. Now we need to let that dry, and now we're going to put in some snow tones. So the Prussian blue is really good for a fresh snowy blue, and a bit of Payne's grey is always helpful too. So I'm just going to allow that to dry. Well, actually, the bottom will be nice and dry, so we can get that going as well. I'm also going to change my water over, and I'm going to use quite a small brush just so I've got the control. And I'm now going to just fill in the snow on top, and it's going to be quite a subtle thing, but you've got to imagine the snow sort of sitting in underneath the branch above, so there'll be a bit of shadow, and then sort of sitting on top of the branch itself, so there'll be little sort of shadowy sags of blue. I think what's important is to try not to just sort of do an outline of blue, to make that line on top actually sort of, instead of just sort of doing that, which is fine, you want to get your brush in there and just sort of shade it in. And everywhere you see a little bit of unpainted space, make the most of that. And if you disturb some of the green, that's not too much of a problem. But on the whole, do try and make sure that your branch colour has dried already. And the last little steps are just adding in a few extra little details of just slightly more concentrated branches here and there in a, like I say, concentrated version of the greeny blue mix, which just helps. And what's nice is if you're enjoying the watercolour process, it's so nice to just sit and keep on sort of finding little places to just add in little bits of darkness. And of course, you know, right up under there, there's going to be quite a lot of dark, not a lot of light finding it in there. And just in the same way that you found little places to add extra bits of low light to your tree, you can find little areas just to give the snow an extra little bit of depth and darkness, particularly up the middle. And there you have your quick fix of creating snow on a Christmas tree.